Caribbean American News Media, your Tuesday night power hour. Live every Tuesday at 8:15 p.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and GVV TV channel 115. Join your host, Garfield Oliver, as he dives deep into the latest inclusion developments, regional affairs, and global issues that matter to you. From politics to the economy, community stories to international headlines, we cover it all with real talk and real insights. Stay informed, get the facts, be part of the conversation. Don't miss out. Set your reminders, share with your friends, and tune in. Caribbean American News Media, the news you report. Caribbean American News Media.
Breaking news for our Caribbean American viewers. Stay tuned for the latest updates. This is a developing story. We are gathering all the essential details. We will bring you the most crucial information as it becomes available. Thank you for watching Caribbean American News Media. We have breaking news for our Caribbean American viewers. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Caribbean American News Media. Let's get to work. I'm here to help.
Welcome to Caribbean American News. With me, Garfield Oliver, the news you report. Let's get to work.
Welcome to the Caribbean American News Media Show, your premier destination for in-depth coverage, engaging discussions, and entertaining segments showcasing the rich tapestry of Caribbean American culture. Join us as we explore a wide range of topics, from current events and community spotlights to arts, music, cuisine, and more. Our show features exclusive interviews with influencers, artists, community leaders, and everyday heroes who are making a difference in the Caribbean American community. Stay informed and inspired with our thought-provoking segments that highlight the diversity, resilience, and creativity within our community. Tune into the Caribbean American News Media Show for a captivating blend of news, entertainment, and storytelling that celebrates the Caribbean American experience. Get ready to discover new perspectives, celebrate successes, and connect with the heartbeat of the Caribbean American community. Don't miss a moment of the action. Stay tuned to Caribbean American News Media Show for an immersive viewing experience like no other. Hashtag Caribbean American News, hashtag show, hashtag cultural celebration. Welcome to the...
Well, good evening to all. Welcome to Caribbean American News Media Platform. It is a pleasure to be here with you on another Tuesday night. Folks, you know, if it's Tuesday night, it's going to be Caribbean American News Media Platform. And so I want to welcome all of you to the platform. We're so happy to be alive today. God has been faithful to all of us. If you're here with me, then you've received some faithfulness. Don't be shy about it. Just say hallelujah. Amen. Yes. So greetings to all. Please share the live as you join the platform here on Caribbean American News Media. It is a pleasure to serve you here tonight. We're going to be having a very interesting program tonight. You want to share the live and tag a friend. We're going to go back maybe 15 years into Wasco, and then we're going to come forward with the blame game. Who is to be blamed? What is the real problem over there at Wasco? Somebody knock on Wasco door and say to Wasco, hey, your name is being called tonight on Caribbean American News Media Platform. So share the live and tag a friend. I want to say a special good night to the St. Lucia House Foundation and the St. Lucia Consulate there in New York, in Brooklyn, in New York. I want to thank you for, allowing me to be there with you on Sunday at your 47th Independence Gala. It was packed. It was a lot of people celebrating and enjoying themselves, and that's what we do, encourage unity, togetherness when it comes to a people, especially in these times that you're in. It is difficult moments, and each one needs one. Everyone should be a shoulder for someone to lean on, and this is no time for ignorance or for this type of hatred and bitterness and people not talking to each other, people gossiping and spreading lies and all those foolish ungodliness, unrighteousness, folks. I call it nastiness in our nation. It is time for us to understand that we are growing, we're getting older, wiser, better at what we do, and therefore, as we evolve into something beautiful and not something bad, then we hope that we can let our light shine in every corner that we go. And, I have a flag hanging over my head. I have a number of flags here, the Vincentian, the Americans, Dominican, Grenadian, but I have over my head the St. Lucia and the St. Vincent flag, high, flying high. There's an old saying, love is a flag flying high from the castle of my heart, and the king is of residence there. Listen to me, friends. Let not your heart be troubled. I am here for you, with you, and we will continue our journey after 5 years of broadcasting on these issues. We are still here today, and by the grace of God, He has kept us. He has kept our systems in place and everything else. He has allowed us to get some upgrade. It's expensive to run the show. There's a lot of new stuff that we continue to upgrade with, and the technology, the autopiloting and the auto-programming and everything else, folks. I am the only one who is doing all this, and so it takes a lot out from me, but I'm happy to be of service to the nations. I'm happy to be of service to all our valid customers, and I'm here, folks, because I met many of you, and I hear you from our grandmother, senior citizen, who is in Swaziland, Canaries, and down in Kingstown or Bayaboo, or in Georgetown, or Grenada, in George's Grenada, or Jamaica, wherever you are viewing us from, our grandmothers especially, you find comfort in this program, and we do take that very seriously. I could have shut this show down immediately, but I think of you. I'm not selfish. Many of you are conservative, UWPs or whatever conservative parties you support in the region. I am here as a voice with you, and I don't only represent the United Workers' Party or the conservative voice. I represent all voices of all people who are being discriminated, who are underprivileged, who are just going through a rough time. I am here for you, for all, and I will maintain that that love and commitment to those of you who have spoken to me and have demonstrated your appreciation for the service that I do here. I do not ask anyone for financial support. I do not ask for anything. I battle it out here by the grace of God. And so, Dudu Laurencia is already logged in, of course. She don't have a choice. She got to be there, just like Jean Francis and these people have to be. They have no choice. They can't be anywhere. So I have to be here for them. Petra and all the others. Arnold, those who are logging in, our YouTube audience. I have some faithful people on YouTube also. They are always there on their big television, just following the program. And I also have Dr. Fletcher, who have been from the beginning. Even when I was at my lowest in broadcasting, she was behind the scenes saying, son, I'm praying for you. You keep your head up. If this is what God wants you to do, it's not going to be hard. He's going to make it effortless. He's going to be there with you. Keep holding on. Keep pushing. Keep pressing. And I really appreciate all these. And I never forget, I'm not an ungrateful person. Tim Charles, greetings to you. I am not an ungrateful person. I recognize those people who means a lot to me and have shared those beautiful moments. And I know that there are some who were confused. They know who I was, and they thought that I was a spy. I am not conservative. I'm not GWP. I'm not this. I'm this. And they figure out quickly that, one, that's not true. I am as real as I am. I'm as genuine as I am. And I'm as professional as I am. Like I said to you, if there's anything that I want to discuss about my party, I will do it in a private group, not on public social media. If I have a problem, I would not fire out like a madman. I need to have wisdom. If I love my party enough, and I love country enough, and I love my religious, my Christianity, my Jesus enough, then I got to have some self-control. I got to know what to say, when to say. It's called wisdom. The Word of God says, if you lack it, you must ask and you'll receive. And over the years, I have learned to be calm, to be still, and know that God is God. And no weapon that is formed against you can ever prosper. Never. Never. It will appear to be prospering, but it will not prosper. So we got to be true. We got to be genuine. We got to be faithful. And when we have gripes with organizations that we are part of, or parties or religious organizations, the best thing to do is have conversations among your peers, among your own people. Don't be a hypocrite. I mean, like, for me, I would say what I have to say in private. I would mean what I say in private. When I come on the air, what you will see is a national unified Caribbean American news. And I always say to you, if I have a leader, I stand behind that leader 100%. If I have to criticize my leader, I will criticize him with love, with respect, with integrity. I'm not going to call him out of his name. I'm not going to say negative things that I'm not sure of, or those kind of things. I will either speak of a personal experience, and most of my personal experience, I'll tell you something. Let me just say something about the Honorable Alan Shasney for a minute. When I met this man, he was not disrespectful. He was not highty-tighty. He was not all Prime Minister Almighty or opposition leader Almighty. He was down to earth. Every call that I made to him, he would answer. And he would answer with grace. And if he's not available, he would answer, and he would say, Gaffy, let me call you back in a minute. I'm busy right now. And he will call me back, whether it's 12 o'clock in the night, 1 o'clock in the night. And I was always available for those calls at 1 o'clock and 12 o'clock in the night. When I want clarity before I open my mouth, I would make that call. Mr. Political Leader, I'm going to go live, and, I'm going to be saying this, I'm going to be doing this, and, what is your take on this, or what did your government do at that time? I'm hearing the criticisms from the Labour Party, and I just want clarity on this matter. And if I agree with what he says, right. If I don't agree, I will just go on the air and do what I have to do by the grace of God. But I have always maintained total respect for the Honorable Alan Chastney. Why? He is a human being. He is my political leader. He is the opposition leader. And until such, I will continue to afford him all due respect, all love. And I will continue to pray for him and his family, and even his father, who is ill. I will continue to thank him when I speak to him in public, to say thank you for what you have done for us as a people. Thank you for what you have done for other families who are unspoken. Thank you what you have done for even those who criticize you, those who maybe have turned their backs on you, those who have treated you really bad. Thank you. And I consider him to be my brother, my friend. And nothing is going to break that. If he goes into jail, nothing is going to break it. I will visit him there. If he's in the hospital and he's sick, he's my friend. I will visit him there. If I have to jump on a plane and go where he is, if he needs my support and prayer. But I will not have turned my back on him because I think he's a bad person. He's not a perfect person. And I always say that when the United Workers' Party come together at a convention and they choose him or they choose another leader, I stand with the United Workers' Party. I will support the other leader. If he is elected, I will support him. At this time, I understand that the party is going through a phase where they are reviewing, they are looking at leadership, they are looking at everyone in the party, whether there need to be a reshuffling, a reshifting, and refocusing and everything else. It happens at the end of every election. And so we should be calm, we should be careful in what we say. I know that there are a lot of groups who are coming together in the interest of the party to ensure that everything is well. And all groups are welcome, whether you think it's negative or positive. All groups are welcome at this time for the rebuilding, the refocusing. Even those who have left, if they want to come back, welcome them back. Because it's a movement, you see. And with a movement, you add, not take away. And we as a people must learn something that is called forgiveness, grace. And I would say to whom much is given, much is required, because that grace also I must give because it was given to me. I am a vilest offender. All of us are vilest offenders. But then grace is greater than all our sins. And I would say to you, friends, at the end of your life's journey, be very careful how you live. Be very careful how you forgive. Be very careful how you hand grace. Hand grace, knowing that you are a human being and maybe at some point you might need grace. And that's why I visit the prisons and I visit the hospitals and nursing homes and boys' centers and senior centers, because I do not know where I am going to be. I do not know what can happen tomorrow. And of course, I would need someone to extend grace or to be there as a shoulder for me to lean on. So I encourage all of our viewers, I encourage all of us to let us refocus. Let us grow spiritually, mentally. Let us grow in love, in compassion, in forgiveness. And forgiveness don't mean that you got to love up and all those things. Forgiveness means that the person made an error against you, you move forward by the grace of God. You don't walk around with that weight. It is your weight that you're carrying. All right? So I just wanted to share that with all of you and let you know that I love and appreciate every one of you. And to the Labour supporters who are viewing the show from behind the scenes, come on in. Don't be afraid to show up, but be respectful. Understand the platform is a dedicated platform to conservative values, and that it is not open for insults and for anyone, rather, to disrespect our political leader or anyone else in our party. Period. Full stop. So we will continue to be a beacon of light here on this platform, and we will continue to be a voice for all people in this time. All right? Perilous times are before us. But greetings to every one of you. And I just want to say that I appreciate you guys and I love you. And we'll continue to fight the good fight by the grace of God. We'll continue to do that. You good? Yeah, man, we good. All right. So what I'm seeing is that the Facebook audience, the YouTube audience have surpassed the Facebook audience. But I met some beautiful people on Sunday at the gala. And I must disclose to you, folks, that the ambassador to New York, Miss Rambali, I've known her a long time. She's a member of our church. She's very friendly. She's a very friendly person to me. When we meet, we have a great conversation. We smile. We are happy together. And so I just wanted you to know that she is, a support SLP. She was an SLP minister, and she is now the ambassador to New York. But it is one people, of course. She is a St. Lucian. She is, just on the other side, but a St. Lucian. And so appreciate every one of you, and we're going to get to work. So I'm going to show you some hypocrisy, by the way, tonight of some ministers within. We're going to be focusing on the water company in St. Lucia, and I'm going to be exposing some things here on the platform concerning the water company, some of the hypocrisy that we need to call out and rebuke so that we can get some of the major issues fixed in the country. But we will have to get rid of the bitterness within the government and the opposition. We'll have to get rid of the confusion that is left in the minds of the people. And we also got to speak about national unity when it comes to dealing with some of these issues. And Wasco is a big issue. Wasco has been a major issue in the country for a very, very, very long time. And tonight I'm going to expose some of the issues. I am going to call out some government ministers for their misrepresentation. We're going to be looking at the John Compton Dam for the Roseau Dam, and we're going to look at the water issue in that country. And then the following week, we will go into either Grenada or Dominica on some of their issues there, but we're going to circle the Caribbean. And now we're going to be going into the St. Lucia water crisis. All right, so let us do something here. I want us to look at the history first of the water company there in St. Lucia. I'm going to do a PowerPoint quickly because we have a lot of slides tonight. I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible. A lot of slides on position of the SLP back in the days, conversations surrounding the water problems in the nation. We're going to be talking about that. So share the live and tag a friend. All right, so let's go to, I'm going to give you just a slide for those of you who don't know anything about the water company there and the Roseau Dam that I'm speaking about. Some of you don't know about it. So tonight we're going to look at it. We're going to be debunking some of the nastiness that you see out there concerning this water problem in the country. And I will show you why we will continue to have a whole lot of issues in our nations because of the type of people sometimes we elect as ministers of government. And I will show you the distraction. I will show you how late our governments are when it comes to taking care of this water company situation. All right, and I would show you how cheap it was to fix this problem at the time and how we allow this problem to escalate and then we start pointing fingers because we really want to say it's Alan Chastney and it's this one, UWP, it is that one. But tonight we're going to look at the problems in this water business in St. Lucia, right? I'm going to refresh your memory on some of the discussions that you, the people, have had with your water company. So share the light, folks, and tag a friend, all right?
Caribbean American News Network, the news you report. Let's get to work with the one and only Garfield Oliver, the most loved on Facebook. Tag a friend, tag a hack, share the page.
I'm sorry, folks. Bear with me. All right, so here is our PowerPoint. So in the drugstore, the John Compton Dam in St. Lucia is the main water storage facility located on the Roseau River near the Millet Supply Water northern communities, including Castries and Grosley. Essential for homes, tourism, and business. Why the dam was built? Population growth increased, water demand, tourist expansion required a reliable water supply. The government planned a large reservoir to store water during the dry season. Construction history. Construction began in April 1993. Tropical Storm Debbie damaged the unfinished dam in 1994. The project was rebuilt and completed in October 1995. Engineering facts. Type concrete face rock fill dam. Height approximately 45 meters. Length about 200 meters. It creates the Roseau Reservoir for water storage. Naming the dam. Originally called the Roseau Dam, renamed after Sir John Compton. Sir John Compton was St. Lucia's first Prime Minister. Challenges over the years. Hurricane Thomas in 2010 caused landslides. Large amounts of sediment entered the reservoir. Storage capacity reduced by nearly 30%. Government proposed dredging and rehabilitation projects. Importance today. Support roughly 90,000 residents. Critical for tourism and economic development. Central to St. Lucia's national water security. Discussion type for tonight. Is the water problem caused by the dam? Or is it aging and leaking water pipes? Join the discussion tonight with Garfield Oliver of Caribbean American News Platform. So that's where we're at today. So we're going to get quickly over to some main concerns, and we're going to go back as far as 16 years so that we can have a broader understanding of what is really. So the question tonight is it the dam or is it pipes? Is it the people or is it the money? Is it government? What is the solution? Is it government or private sector partnership to get this problem fixed once and for all? Let's go into our presentation for the night. So we have a number of clips that is already set into our system. We're going to go over to the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, and this was approximately 3 or 4 years ago. Is a clip that we came across from the government's website, all right, on YouTube. So let's go over to the Prime Minister of St. Lucia 3 or 4 years ago. That was the Honorable Philip Japere, and he's going to be speaking about corruption and the special prosecutor and the Roseau Dam and equipment and everything else. I want you to listen, okay?
What's supposed to be complete is not. I guess these are the things the opposition should account for. Should tell us why it's not complete. Tell us why you spent all that money. Why? These are the conversations I want to have with the opposition. Not conversations about behaving child in the House of Assembly. These are the questions. And you asked a good question. Very soon, we've commissioned a report. The report is going to be public in a very short time. And by the way, give you some news. The special prosecutor, his application is before the Legal and Services Commission.
Okay, so that report from there, what happens after that?
As soon as we get it, the AG will decide what happens to it.
The Silton project.
The AG will decide what happens to the report when it's. But
So
we've commissioned the report. I understand the report is complete. You see, I tell you something. I hope you note how we did things. We didn't just go ahead and accuse people and make wild statements and speculate. We were systematic. All the issues, reports have been commissioned. St. Jude Hospital, the report was done by a committee of persons. And right now, we have another one. The first one said that we should continue on the original site. The second one now is going to deal with the financial implications of what happened.
So therefore, you see the Prime Minister 3-4 years ago saying to you that there's problems with the cleaning of the Roseau or the John Compton Dam, and that the equipment that was bought that are sitting there that are not. Let's continue listening.
It is being systematic, it's being fair, and is wanting the best outcome for the people of St. Lucia. This is my concern, not me. I have no divine right to be Prime Minister of St. Lucia.
Okay, so again, that's part of the distraction earlier in his leadership, knowing, my friends, that there are these major issues that he needs to pay attention to. But the government at the time spent a whole lot of their time campaigning and going to court, attacking the opposition, and a lot of kind of petty stuff at the time was taking place.
Which one you talk? Which one?
The Silton, the joint.
It was done by a group of forensic accountants.
Okay. No name and...
Okay. Not yet.
Not yet. The costs, all of this as well.
You get that very soon. Not yet, yeah.
So this is the Prime Minister again saying to the nation at the time that there is a special prosecutor in place because there is a forensic audit of the John Compton Dam, and it appears that nothing was done, and all the stories. But we're going to go way back tonight. We're going to go way back in time to say to you that the now government has absolutely no right to be pointing fingers. And if they should be pointing fingers, they need to point fingers in-house, because the whole John Compton Dam issue has been there for over 15, 16, 17 years. And each of these governments have been looking at the possibility of expanding the dam, cleaning the dam, but there were major issues in getting there. I will show you where there were two, or under the Alan Shastney administration, Ezekiel Joseph, what took place at the Roseau Dam, the efforts that were made in order to start a 10-year process of I believe it's called the Silton, that dam, getting rid of the mud and the debris that is seated in the bottom of that dam, to help to what the intention was, to build capacity. All right, it was more messed up stuff in the bottom of that thing than water, and so they were to clean it out. Very expensive, needed special equipment. They needed to look at lands so that they can get that waste out. And we're talking about a lot of cubits, hundreds of thousands of cubits of muck that should have been taken out of that dam. Let's go to some of the water issues that we've had over the years.
Drought a few years ago and its impact on the country. This time around, Wasco is taking no chances. The company is putting measures in place to maximize water supply. The Water and Sewage Company is also preparing for the first phase of desilting the John Compton Dam. This first phase is intense and is expected to be completed in 4 to 5 weeks. Wasco authorities have identified a site to dispose of the silt.
About 1 kilometer away from the dam, there is a site we call the laydown area. That site has a capacity about 2 million, to accommodate about 2 million cubic meters of silt or material, properly engineered with dikes, so that and also taking into consideration the soil types and things like this, the geotechnical aspects of the area, to ensure that it can actually hold that material. So the thinking is the silt that will be coming out of the reservoir would be stacked in that area.
There are social issues that must be considered as the desilting exercise is undertaken. To this end, 2 project advisory committees have been set up and have had 2 meetings so far with nearby communities.
We have met with the community of Millet on 2 occasions, and we'll have subsequent meetings with them again as time passes by. We've also had a project advisory committee set up, and that's for a national project advisory committee, and we've had 2 meetings with them. We've had stakeholders meetings on the project, major key stakeholders. We've had 2 such stakeholder meetings. So we have done all of this, and it's continuing.
Wasco is also in the process of constructing a treatment plant for water entering the Castries Harbour. The plant will be constructed in such a way that it can easily be dismantled and will be operated at minimal cost. For the DBS News World, I am Don Nicholas.
And that was a clip from the DBS News World. And now we go over to another clip.
Maintenance carried out on the raw water pipeline that supplies the north. On at least 3 occasions over the last 6 months, Wasco has conducted maintenance on this pipeline in an effort to remedy the situation, albeit temporarily. However, despite these repairs, the issue of service reliability continues to persist. We sought an explanation from the company's chief operations officer as well as the water services manager as to what has caused Wasco to be in this current situation.
Whenever we close down the system to do repairs on the raw water line, you find that our distribution network drains out. Our tanks, although we try to keep them filled, not all the time that is possible. So when we put back the system into operation, we have to first of all charge these lines. And because of the dynamics of water, you'll find that a lot of our systems run through gravity. So water would get to the lower elevations first, and it's only afterwards would be able to pump the water to the higher elevations. So persons living at the higher elevations at the extreme ends of our system, they are the last to get a supply. Apart from that, whenever we put back on the system, the pressures and flows gradually build up. So it's a process, a slow process, which we have to contend with.
So what, if anything, can be done to alleviate the lack of supply in the north? And how soon can customers expect to see an improvement?
What we try to do is, first of all, evaluate what areas have received the supply through gravity or through our normal operations. Then we then prioritize the affected areas and try to truck to them. It's a tedious process, especially with the fact that our traffic system is in for the truck to maneuver through our highways and byways there. It's difficult, but that's the process that we try to implement. We also do some valving where we close off the water to some communities that have a regular supply and actually channel these waters to areas that are affected. For example, during this shutdown, we have been closing off the city even on evenings and channeling this water up north to try to reach the extremities of the system. I don't want to alarm the public, but it will get a little worse before it gets better.
Despite the challenges, the island's sole water company says it remains committed to alleviating the ongoing issues and to ensuring all consumers have access to a more dependable water supply.
Every time we go through a shutdown and repair those leaks, we actually increase the pressure on that line. Because every time we increase pressure on that line, the very small innocuous leaks that were not really showing will begin to show. So that's why when we did the 30 repairs last week, Thursday and Friday, within a week's time, we already had 13 more. And this, from what we see, is going to continue.
So, all these years, friends, Wasco have been battling with poor infrastructure, outdated pipes that are not thick enough to even be underground in the first instance. And so they've been battling and patching, and every time they patch, there would be, of course, other areas where they need to continue the patching. All right, so it was a patch-up, plaster-up pipe system that Wasco was operating in the country. So at some point, it was not because there was a lack of water in the country, but it was because of pipes that are not designed maybe to do what those Wasco pipes were doing at the time. And so the cry was there. The number one issue was pipes. Is that true? The other thing we saw all over the country was busted pipes, water flowing in the streets, water flowing in the canals, sometimes for years. I remember just a few years ago in Dennery, I went to the fisheries, and there were water flowing there for almost 5 years, just wasting night and day, running. I remember I went and I was very upset, and I was willing to get a plumber to get that pipe stopped there at the Daito. Water was running to the point where people were damaging themselves because of the moss, the slippery thing that grows when there is constant water flow. That's to show you how long the water was flowing. So you had busted pipes, and then you had maybe not enough manpower to go out and fix these leakages in a timely manner. So you had water leaking in maybe every corner of the country from the water system. As a matter of fact, it sounds to me like a large set of the Wasco water that's treated was just being wasted. So you had residents crying out for water, and then you had Wasco saying, well, all our waters are just being wasted because of the bad pipes. And then you had Wasco saying, oh, well, we have to increase the rate, the water rate, because the people are wasting the water. The people are not responsible. Therefore, we're going to arrest anyone, or we're going to have water state of emergency where we can activate certain powers that anyone who abuse the water system, then they can be arrested by law. And we saw that for a number of years in the country. But Wasco is saying to us that it is busted pipes on our systems where we are wasting maybe 80% or 70% of our water in the country.
So let's just say in the next 3 months, 4 months, maybe 2, depending on how severe those leaks are, we will go again to patch them up and to increase the flow, but within a short space of time, almost guaranteed. we are going to get leaks again. Because the line is just old, it's weak. We cannot make it stronger. We just have to manage it until we are able to install a new line.
Wasco says it will continue to use its limited financial resources to improve the overall water distribution system in all areas, but also encourage consumers to take personal responsibility by practicing conservation as far as possible.
Residents must also
see it was more of people taking personal responsibility when Wasco is saying to you that we have what? We have busted pipes. Let me just get some, because I have a full lineup for you. Let us look at 5 years ago. 5 years ago. Wasco, 5 years ago. We're talking about the UWP and the John Compton Dam. The United Workers' Party and their response to this major crisis that they met there. They met major water problems. And the SLP on the Kenny Anthony said that it's going to take a magician to come in and get this fixed. Those were his words, were their words. And I will show you exactly what they said about this situation. Let's go over to a clip here from the
over
United
400
Workers' Party.
million gallons of storage water. This phase will see the dredging of the dam to increase the total water reserve capacity of the plant. Chairman of the Board of Directors, Francis Denbo, explains the complex undertaking will see the transfer of silt to the sediment disposal area through both onshore and offshore pipes.
The reservoir's full capacity has been reduced from 700 million gallons of water storage to 300 million gallons. The challenge then was to bring the reservoir back to its original capacity, as future storms could result in the reservoir being completely filled with silt, bearing in mind that with each rainfall within the forest, there is a continuous leakage of silt into the reservoir on a daily basis from exposed landslides on hundreds of mountain terrain surfaces that are impossible to access or rehabilitate. Assumptions are that it will take 8 to 10 years of dredging works to fully desilt the reservoir.
Speaking at the ceremony held in Millet on Thursday, the minister with responsibility for the island's natural resources, Honorable Ezekiel Joseph, explains that a supporting project facilitated through the Forestry Division to stabilize the soil around the dam will prove to augment Wasco's efforts to bring about a more improved water quality and infrastructure.
This is another major accomplishment for us as a team. It's another major accomplishment for us as a government, and you heard from the chairman all the work that we have done for the past 4.5 years. It has not been easy, but I can stand up here and say I have a team that I believe in. I have a government and a cabinet that's very supportive of what we are doing with Wasco, and I'm sure, like the pastor prayed for us a while ago, that we would see the completion of phase 2 without any major accident.
Prime Minister Honorable Alan Shasney commended the work of the Natural Resources Minister and his team for their continuous efforts to build a more resilient St. Lucia.
But it's so good to see that a group of men and women have come together and put their minds to it to progress. And this is why we keep on saying that we need to build a new St. Lucia. Not just a better St. Lucia, but a world-class St. Lucia. And it starts with water. We need to have secure, clean water being distributed through the length and breadth of this country to allow development to take place.
The desilting of the John Compton Dam is being funded by the Caribbean Development Bank, the Government of St. Lucia, and the Water and Sewage Company, Wasco. From the Information Unit of the Ministry of Agriculture, I am Anicia Antoine reporting.
And that is a report from, at the time, the GIS, the Government Information Service. And just stay with us, folks. We're getting there. We have 6 years ago. We're going to go now 6 years ago. We're going back into times so that we can allow you to get a full picture of this water issue in the country and the response from the different governments. So there we saw the Honorable Alan Chastney making great effort. And if you listen to Ezekiel says that they have been at it for the past 4.5 years. 4.5 years. And we heard one of the gentlemen saying that it will take 8 to 10 years to get this problem solved. 8 to 10 years. And during COVID-19, we're talking about efforts being made to get the water supply up to date. 4.5 years, a government is working on behalf of this crisis that they saw, if not taken care of, early intervention would create a multi-million-dollar problem for the nation. And so the Alan Chastney administration engaged the water company and other professionals in getting a solution to this problem. And we heard that it will take different phases over a span of 10 years to fix the problem. It sounds to me like this problem was there for a very long time. We were not maintaining the dam. We were just sucking water out of the dam and increasing the fees to the local citizens, and then no clean water, no proper water was coming out. I remember in Denver back in the years, sometimes the pipe is empty for a month, for weeks, no water. I remember I believe it was the UWP administration who they were looking at a French company from Martinique to come in, especially the Denver area, to see how we can get water to our people. I remember people's skin started having lota, or these white marks. A lot of the people at the time were experiencing that because they were going into the river for water. They were bathing in river water. Above the river, you had people with chemicals, in gramoxone, and all these type of stuff. And so people were exposed once again, a problem that John Compton saw that killed young kids in the Denver area. John Compton saw that and wanted clean water in the country, and he engaged international authorities to assist them in getting clean water so that he can save the children in the Denver Valley. Not only the children in the Denver Valley, the children in the country. John Compton himself said he saw mothers when he's coming from Castries, driving through Denver. He saw mothers carrying little coffins with their children to be buried because of waterborne germs and disease that they got because there was not a water system. And he did his best searching in the different hills looking for good water source. And we got the Roseau Dam, of course. We got standpipes all over the nation as a result of that effort to provide clean water for the citizens of the nation. That was done under the United Workers' Party, John Compton administration. And so all we needed to do at the time was to maintain what we had, improve on what we had, prepare for a growing society, a society that brought in more hotels, more businesses, more factories, and the demand for water kept increasing to the point where we are today. Where we are today, folks, where the hoteliers now got to get water for their businesses from Dominica because we're hearing now that, one, we have a pipe problem. 2, we have a Roseau Dam problem. 3, we have a global change challenge in our water system. So this was just a disaster waiting to happen while governments ignored, played blaming games, and focused on other things that were not too important at the time. Not too important at the time. The water system was a major priority, and it should have been a major priority for any incoming government we saw for ourselves the efforts from the Alan Chastney administration. So my question would be, what was the effort concerning the John Compton Dam by the St. Lucia Labour Party between 2021 or 22 to 2025? What was the effort at the dam? Was it just to investigate to see if there is Bobol who you can arrest, get a special prosecutor and pay him to arrest people because there's equipment and there's nothing? What real effort was made? I'm just asking these real questions to the St. Lucia Labour Party government, the last administration and present administration. What major effort did you guys put in place, apart from the investigation to find Bobol, of course? What major efforts were made to ensure that the dam was taken care of? Because Kenny Anthony saw it as an emergency. Alan Shastner saw it as an emergency. So I'm asking the Philip J. administration and also King, who would know better. King, out of all person, who would know better, who would have had all the answers from all the previous studies from from Kenny Anthony studies and from the Alan Shastner studies. He was in that administration. He was prime minister. He understands the dam, I believe, more than a whole lot of people. So he is in that administration, and I believe he should have sounded the alarm that there is a major crisis before us with our water infrastructure, and should have focused the government of the SLP in recent times to focus on not only digging for Bobol and to arrest someone, but dealing with the actual problem of the water crisis. And I always say to you, friends, on this platform, that common events do cast their shadows. And all these prime ministers saw the shadows. And so I'm asking for this administration, did you understand the shadows? Did you understand what was happening here with this growing water crisis? Did you? And what did you put in place at the time? We're talking about 4 or 5 years of your leadership. What did you put in place? Is it patching pipes, hoping to put more pipes? What actually was done in order to treat this water crisis as a national emergency for the country? How did you spend your time? That's just a question, and it's a fair question to the Philip J. administration. I would have asked the same question to if the Alan Shastner administration was the prime minister or the government of the last 4 years. I would have asked them the same problem. Why? Because we do have a water crisis. And one, I understand the lack of water in St. Lucia. I lived in Dennery, and I know what it was. I was driving, I was actually transporting water with my stepfather's vehicle from the river to the house, and also from a standpipe at Boisjoli up in the La Pointe area, filling drums on the vehicle and bringing it home and pipe it down with a hose into our drums and containers that we had at the time around the house. I understand the frustration, because I was frustrated. I wanted to just open the pipe and get water, but I had to take time from me looking for a wife or anything else and spend that time carrying, transporting water, because it was not coming through the pipe. And when it do come through the pipe, it was at midnight, late in the night. Late in the night, you had to wake up to full. I don't know how many of you remember those things, but our water crisis did not happen overnight. Government ignored the infrastructure, the crumbling infrastructure, just like everything else that we see today.
Explains the John Compton Dam project will unfold in 2 phases. Component 1 consists of the preparation of a disposal area for the sediments, and which will allow for a seamless transition onto the second component, which will see the dredging of the reservoir through a pipeline to the disposal area. According to him, the first component, which started in May of 2018, has progressed to about 50 or 60% completion.
That project has been hampered somewhat by the weather. It has kept us back a bit, because we cannot do that work once the rain is falling. But we are making progress in there, and work is still continuing as we speak. The dredging of the reservoir itself, we signed a contract with the contractor, late last year, and he has been mobilized, and the dredge is now in St. Lucia. It was brought in a few weeks ago and has been assembled and placed on the reservoir. The pipeline itself now is being assembled, and all this work should be ready by about mid to end of June, when dredging should commence at that point in time.
Barring any challenges posed by the weather, Mr. White says Component 1 should be completed by the end of June.
So this initial project, essentially, we will see the silting for over a period of about 4 months from this contractor who's on work now. So he will take about 4 months to do this initial amount of removal of sediment, which is maybe about 136,000 cubic meters or so. The reservoir has a lot more sediment than that. Okay, so it is expected that this project will have to continue beyond this year, where we'll have to dredge over a period of years, where we will remove a significant amount every year until we probably get all of it out. So we see over a period maybe about 8 to 10 years where we'll have to be doing this work to ensure that we get all the sediment removed.
The John Compton Dam project is but one of several projects currently being undertaken by Wasco Incorporated to modernize and upgrade water services and infrastructure around the island. From the Information Unit of the Ministry of Agriculture, I am Amanda Faye Clark reporting.
Now here we go again. Government recognizing that it's going to take not just one go at the dam in order to get it taken care of, but it will take several years. You hear that from the United Workers' Party folks, administration, the previous Wasco leaders who understood the problem. Here they're saying, look, this is not just a one-off situation. This is going to take a lot of effort, a lot of money, a lot of time, and still we will have to keep going. So what I'm gathering here is that once we had gotten to this stage, it sounds to me like we needed to Wasco needed to invest in their own dredging system. So at this time now, based on my assessment of what is happening here, is that Wasco needed not to rent equipment or to have companies coming in ever so often. The dam needed a system that is permanent, that would continually be dredging and cleaning out ever so often, so that it's something that you don't do once in a while. That's what I'm gathering, but it's something that you need to keep at until you get the dam to full capacity, and so you have maintenance dredging as you go along. So therefore, Wasco should have based on what I'm hearing here, by now have their own dredging system in place at the John Compton Dam. Because it sounds to me that the dam needed to be modernized to the point where there is a system automatically, that thing is just cleaning, especially after a hurricane or before a hurricane, because you want to get as much water as you can, because it is a storage facility. Do you understand what I'm saying, folks? And I hope I make sense. So this is from maybe 3-4 years ago, and this is News Force. This is HTS. Credit to HTS. Shed a life, tag a friend.
Pipes continue to hamper the island's potable water supply. The water and the sewage company Wasco has had to push back the timeline for the completion of repairs and restoration of the water supply in the north, as work on the raw water pipeline in Millet hit a snag. Critics have hammered the utility for the seeming lack of timely information and updates on the disruption in the service during the week, with notifications mainly delivered via social media platforms. Some residents were caught unawares, while others expressed disappointment in the lack of certainty regarding the precious commodity. Officer in charge, Zilta George Leslie, on Friday sought to clear the air on the delays.
On the 5th, which was yesterday, we went in and we replaced a portion of the pipe because it was so badly damaged, because again of the age of our infrastructure. It was so badly damaged that we decided that we were not even going to patch it this time. We were going to put in a new piece. So we have done that, and the guys left about 3 o'clock in the morning, hoping that, all was well, and we were just about to reopen, and we did that. And as we reopened the pipe lower down in the Kaiko area, because the pressures had built up, the pipe at that point just almost exploded. So what we had to do now was to reassess. So we went back to the drawing board.
Wasco recently repaired several leaks from a major company. Leslie is also calling on consumers to check their pipes for breaks.
We applaud the companies who are able to ensure that they have a very rigid maintenance program. But incidentally, yesterday we had a very, very big company, I wouldn't say which establishment it is, with a very serious leak, which had been, ongoing for some time. We just want to ask everybody to ensure that they constantly check for those leaks. And this is the ideal time to do it because it's the dry season. Usually in the wet season, you may not.
So Wasco is advising consumers to check their pipes for leaks. But it seems to me that Wasco is not responding to their own leaks around the country. So they're busy asking everyone to check, make sure you guys don't have leaks. And Wasco, their pipe is leaking like a strainer. I don't know how many of you have strainers at your house, but Wasco's system seems to be a strainer. Because they're reporting to us that they are losing half of their water, their treated water. It is just running out of their pipes and into the ground. But the emphasis is you guys need to check on your pipes to ensure that you do not have leaks. And I want to say one of the problems that I discovered with Wasco is that there are a lot of political appointees when it comes to this Wasco situation, and that has caused even more problems for this water company. What we need to do is to get party hacks and supporters out of the water business. That's the problem. They say, well, let's privatize and let's... But I am saying to you, get rid of political appointees in the Wasco system and watch Wasco go. Just watch it take off. Wasco is almost like the government where you change government and everything else fall down. Everything is a wreck. The airport is a mess. The road is a mess. This is a mess. John Compton Dam is a mess. That's what Wasco seems to be like. Like a strainer, like a strainer of the government. Of course, the government becomes a strainer when we have to be spending all these monies. So maybe we need to. I'm just saying, no offense. Maybe we need to get rid of political appointees out of the ranks of Wasco, so that Wasco can breathe, it can function. Maybe we need to get rid of some of these board members who don't know anything about water, don't know anything about water management or maintenance of the dam. And the reason why I'm saying this is because people's life depend on it. Water is indeed life. And like I said to you, for those who, I can speak about Denry, we've had major water issues. I've had to bathe in buckets. I've had to go to the river, to the sea. When we're having crusades and we finish pitch the tent, I've had to go in the river or go and get a bucket of water to bathe and put on my clothes and go to the crusade because there is none. We were not expecting any water at some point to come through the pipes. We were not expecting a piece of water to come through the pipes, and that's true. Wasco has been a problem for years, my friends. Okay? And one of the major problems is that we are pointing political supporters into this very dedicated, important system. Huh? Is that true? Maybe we need to review it, and I think that's a fact. And I heard one of the government maybe here saying that maybe it's time to privatize or get some partnership with, people out there to get this water system. And, under Kelly Anthony and other people, we had those talks even on the King. King did not support privatizing Wasco. He did not, and I'll prove to you that he did not support the privatizing of Wasco. And Hilaire is speaking about privatizing, and I'm interested to know what is King's position now on the privatization of Wasco, if that's the best way to go now. Or is it that the government just can't manage anything, or they just can't manage Wasco, like they can't manage the ports in Castries, or they can't manage the airports, or they can't manage certain things in the hospitals? Is it that we are not good managers, and not only managers, maintainers of our infrastructures? Is it that we need to just maybe revamp government, make it more lean and more efficient, more functional? Because I don't know how we can have an institution like Wasco, and it's a major headache for us. And every day we don't fix Wasco, it is causing taxpayers millions and millions of dollars. And none of us want to take this on head on. It's a fact. This is a problem that both the opposition and the government need to have discussions on, because this is very serious. This is very serious. If you're saying your pipes are not good and you're saying your water is good, I'm asking you, how are you testing your water system? How do you know that your water is actually good? Like you say, if you're saying your pipes are old, your infrastructure is old, how is the water good? I would just like, I know you're testing, you're doing sampling and everything else, but I would like you to go in. I don't know if you go into the homes of the people and do sampling, the amount of lead in their water, the alkaline levels, the acidity and everything else. I don't know if you do that. But maybe it's time for us to start checking from the home, from the tap, what is coming out, to ensure that we help our citizens to maintain good health. Because there wasn't a cancer and strange things are happening in our medical community now. But we're seeing crumbling infrastructure. But this is not one to play with, I can guarantee you that.
Become very apparent. So we're asking persons, to do as many checks as they possibly can to find out whether or not that there are any leakages on their property.
The system is not in good shape with a network of feeble pipelines, but overhauling the infrastructure will be very costly, with the capital infusion required hard to come by. Wasco has been undertaking temporary works on the badly damaged Millet raw water pipelines, but the officer in charge disclosed that this is not sustainable and the company will be exploring funding options to fix the entire main.
Hopefully in the next few months we would be working with a lot of different agencies to get funding to ensure that we do a whole totally new pipeline, because what we've been doing now is that with the funds that we have, we've been trying to do maintenance on it, but hopefully someday we're going to be able to have a whole new pipeline.
So in other words, Wasco is, I don't know if I should use the word wasting money on patches. I don't know if we're wasting millions of dollars on patches when we can just bite the bullet, get the money, and get new pipes. So the monies that we use on patching, put it into new pipes. Because we have identified the problem, and based on what I'm hearing from the SLP government, is that the problem has been pipes. The Alan Shastney and the UWP administration is saying we deal with the source and we deal with the pipes. Which makes sense. The source, the dam, and the pipe. That makes a whole lot of sense, but Wasco is saying, well, we'll patch. And that's why, again, we need to get political appointees out of Wasco so that Wasco can breathe. We need to make Wasco lean and effective. There are too many political appointees in institutions that are very important in the nation. And I'm sure most of you, both my friends who are SLPs and the UWPs, would agree that that makes a lot of sense. Water affects us all, whether you UWP, SLP, we all have had water issues, and we all are hoping that we will not go through this water this water situation again, to the point where schools got to be closed. But I want to show you something that happened recently in the House, in the government. This is from HTS News Force again.
Meant to release a 2023 audit for the John Compton Dam desilting project. The state is now returning to the drawing board to fix the failing reservoir. Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre recently warned that a total system overhaul could cost over $200 million. The desilting project was originally conceptualized under the Kenny Anthony-led Labour government. However, the execution fell to the Alan Chasney-led UWP administration between 2016 and 2021. Despite years of dredging fees collected from citizens, the effort was paralyzed by logistical failures. Reports indicate that millions were spent to remove less than 10% of the silt.
The NUC said that they are capping that project at $60 million. But the project was for 52.5, which means there was leeway of $7.5 million for contingencies on foreseen eventualities. But not only did they use the 52.
I'm sorry, I do apologize. So what I'm saying, folks, is that you want to be very careful viewing this clip, because we have seen before this government, including Mr. Frederick, using the government platform to maybe deal with vendettas and issues with his former party, the United Workers' Party, or Alan Chasney. And so sometimes this important discussion can be muddied with our personal vendettas and feelings towards our political opponent. And this is where it is very dangerous and damaging to the whole water discussion. So I want you to listen carefully to where this is going with this new administration of 2026. And by the way, they had 4.5 years to put a dent into this water situation, in the dam situation. 4.5 years. If they had taken that time to continue dredging the dam, then maybe we would not be here borrowing millions of dollars to deal with our water situation. So let's just listen carefully, and I want you to be balanced in your approach to my program tonight, all right? Because I'm going on both sides right now, all right?
Limit of the 60 million and ended up at $69 million. That is at page 4 of the audit report, Mr. Speaker.
In Tuesday's debate, MP Richard Frederick claims the audit found major non-conformities in the dredging fee account. He alleges gross mismanagement during the UWP's tenure. Frederick argued that technical oversight was virtually non-existent.
This is a serious indictment on the reputation of all ministers in the last government.
Okay, so Mr. Frederick said it's an indictment on all ministers in the last government. The last government was the SLP administration. I'm not sure if that's just an error by him, but the government of 2001 or 2002, I believe it is, was the SLP administration under the Prime Minister pair. And you are the same government now presiding over the Wasco affairs and the dredging. So are you saying to us that that problem that you're talking about was there before you guys came in? The question would be, it sounds like all you did with the dam was to do investigations with the dam. Is that true? Is that the same thing you accused the Alan Shastney administration when it comes to St. Jude Hospital? That they did not finish it and they did not continue it and they were investigating instead of fixing it. Is that what you did with the dam? I'm just asking because you're saying that you find so much problems with the account and the documents, and we don't see the documents, so we don't know what is in the documents, of course. So we don't know. But you said the previous administration. So my question again is, in the last 4 years, I want you to tell us the amount of cubit of silt that you guys removed from the John Compton Dam. That's the report that we need to know. Did you do any drilling, any cleaning of the dam in the last 4 years? Question. You are the former administration. I'm not asking the UWP administration nothing at this point. This is your second term in office. I'm hearing everything else, 5%, 10% of silt that was taken out, millions of dollars, but I am not hearing the amount of silt in the last 4 years that you guys took out of the dam. And now we have an emergency crisis. I would love, and honestly, I would love to know the total amount of silt that the SLP administration under the Philip J. Pay administration removed from the dam. Don't tell me about Shastney. This is about you. Last year, you could have told me about Shastney, but this year, it's you. So the question is, total amount, and be transparent and tell us exactly the amount that was removed under your administration.
The claimed cost blew past the project's cap due to wastage and the payment of unqualified claims. He alleged that a $69 million expenditure resulted in a dismal 8.7% completion rate.
The contract, according to the final letter of acceptance dated January 28, 2019, was in excess of and does not reconcile with the bid amount received from him. So he sent in a bid with an amount, but the letter of acceptance has a different amount.
Folks, and I must tell you while Mr. Frederick is speaking that the truth of the matter is, based on my understanding, of course, I'm subject to correction, is that Wasco and other agencies were responsible or doing the work. Professionals were doing the work at the dam. Not Alan Shastney, not Ezekiel Joseph, not Guy Joseph. They were not the ones going up there to manage or to do any work at the dam. Wasco and the engineers and the infrastructure people identified the problem, the solution. The government under Alan Shastney made provisions for the financing of this major project. And the project was managed by agencies and organizations, also the Ministry of Finance and other people, permanent secretaries. There's the NUC, that's what you call them, Alison Jean and her crew. Wasn't it those people responsible to monitor and to ensure that everything went well? And let me tell you something, just to enlighten the people, is that we heard from all the professionals that we do not know the amount of silt in the dam, one. You heard one guy said it might be more. We don't know what's there. So what, in your mind, you understand that there would be, if there is any cost overrun, or there would be need for a whole bucket of money to deal with getting that dam fixed. And I don't mind that we find the money and we do what it takes to get that water system in place. But to come now and accuse Wasco, the leadership of Wasco, the leadership of the NUC, former government ministers, Alan Chasney, UWP, and to accuse all of them of basically some type of monkey business up there, that's not right. I don't think that's the right thing to do at this time. If you identify as a government that there's somebody stole some money, you have the evidence, you are the government, arrest them, take them to court. There's a special prosecutor, let them pay back the money. I don't care who it is. If they stole, they got to pay it back or lock them up. I don't care who it is. If Guy Joseph stole the money from Wasco, lock him up. If Alan Chasney, please sell a special police car up in Grocery Day, lock him up too. Don't read his Miranda rights. Just lock him up because you have the evidence. But to just be floating things in the minds of the citizens with a major crisis before them, that there is some bubble and there is something happening out there, and look at this, and not realizing that you're not condemning the United People's Party or Alan Chasney, you are condemning Wasco, the management. You are condemning an entire system of checks and balances. You're condemning an entire permanent secretary and other lower staff. You're condemning an entire system. And many of those people that you're condemning are still there, like Mr. King, who was a government minister on the Alan Chasney administration. He is there. Alison Joy is there. A lot of those people are still there in Wasco, in permanent secretaries and other people. They're still there. You can get them. You can put your hands on them. You can arrest them right now because you have evidence. So we do not need any long talk. Lock them up and come and tell us that you locked them up and show us the evidence that, look, this one pocketed $5 million from the account. Lock them up. Don't leave us out here to speculate as usual and to besmirch people's character. Lock them up. And I do not want anyone to speculate against Mr. Frederick either. If you have evidence against him, lock him up too. If you don't have evidence, shut your mouth and leave him alone. But he is saying that they have evidence, they have audits report. So start doing your job, Mr. Special Prosecutor, and lock the UWP leaders up. Lock them up. If you need help in locking them up, I will help you to lock them up. But this is serious stuff.
Had hinted that procrastination on facilitating major upgrades is partly to blame for the state of the water sector currently. It is hoped that the borrowing of the $20 million loan will help upgrade water systems across the island and bring much-needed relief to residents. Gina Filippi, HDS News Force.
So that was recently a HDS piece from so we have more. I just want to bring you back, and it makes sense for us to listen to our former people so that we do not speculate and accuse people of stuff. I don't want to hear about any bobblies. Lock them up. Please, lock them up. So this one is, I believe, 5 years ago. We're not taking calls now, but 5 years ago. All right? 5 years ago. Just bear with me because we're dealing with live production, so I am doing those production as we speak. So I'm going to ask the person to hold on with the calls. We are not going to take the calls at this time. All right? We're trying to get the information to the people. We do not want to mislead anyone, lie on anyone. That's not what we're going to do here. We're going to provide you the clips and make your decisions. But I am saying to you, this is a major crisis and that we need to take care of it right now. All right? This is 5 years ago. right, just let me get away from all this music and get to the bouillon of this.
The Water and Sewage Company Incorporated is not isolated, of course, from the impact of COVID-19. And of course, because of the fact that we know of the importance of water and washing hands frequently and sanitizing and so on, we have been doing all that is humanly possible to ensure that each customer has an equitable supply of water. And some of the steps that we have taken to ensure that this happens is demonstrated in some of the projects that have been carried out or are being carried out so far. One such project is the Viesikwe Water Project.
We are now here at Viesikwe. We are on the Viesikwe project, conceived by SSDF, funded by CDB, SSDF, Wasco, and the government of St. Lucia. This project is mainly for the people around the pond area. However, the whole of Viesikwe is benefiting from this project because of where the pipe passes. The pipe comes up the Viesikwe road from Moshi into the pond area. It goes down, there's a community by the pond, it goes into there, and then it further comes up the hill and goes right to the Viesikwe mountain, if you want to call it that, where we have a tank. This project is very important, whether Corona or not. This project is very important. More so as Corona time, because the people around this area have no pipe-borne water. The water actually reaches the pond area, but it is sort of the maximum head of the pump. So the people do not really get water often. There are some black tanks by the pond. That is where the water reaches.
It's a good vibe, it benefits the community.
Yeah.
But my car still feeling the suspension, carrying water every single day. It was about time. But when I get any water, soon.
They have been waiting for this project for a long time. It has been years I have been coming up this hill to try to get a site for tank site. Finally, we have gotten a tank site, and the project is gone. In light of this COVID situation, it is actually even more important bringing water into this area right now. Portable water in these times is very important.
In addition to the Viesikwe project, of course, we have completed the Hill 20 to Lakwa Mains Extension project.
The people of Babono have been suffering some parts in not having water. The water was scarce, we were rationing water, we were valving. So Wasco decided to increase the capacity of the flow of the water from Hill 20 to Lakwa Tank. We did have to add an extra pump house to the Hill 20 plant because there was not enough space to put those pumps inside of the plant, so an extension had to be done to pump the water to Lakwa. Also, this water goes as far as Debara, and the people in Debara used to suffer for water, but now it's a little bit more frequent in that area. I must appeal to the public that yes, we do not have a foolproof system in that every day everybody gets water. So please try and conserve as much water as possible.
Upon completion of the Hill 20 project, the pipe extension project, that rationing system is now a thing of the past. So residents of Babono are now enjoying a consistent supply of water. Of course, we do have the off situations where there will be...
So that is water supply that was put in place during the COVID-19 challenge. During the COVID-19, they were working night and day in order to get these residents a steady flow of fresh pipe-borne water. Can you imagine just during COVID, people don't have water in certain communities and they're using vehicles in 2022, in 2020, 2021, 2022, they're using vehicles to carry the water?
Up and running in terms of ensuring that each resident and each business place continues to have an equitable supply of water. We also want...
Right, so we've had problems, all right? So that was 5 years ago. And on the 5 years ago, that was the Alan Shasta administration. I'm just realizing that was the UWP administration. I did not hear anybody speaking about that 5 years ago. I believe it was. Yes. So let's go quickly. I have a few quick that I'm going to pull up quickly for you. Very interesting. Some of you would find it shocking, amusing, funny. I don't know. So what I've been playing, there's a lot of, okay, we have one that is coming in. This is from
Water
HTS.
and Sewage Company, Wasco, as St. Lucia braces for severe weather systems. Officer in charge, Wasco, Zilta George Leslie, says residents in the south may experience disruptions in service Tuesday evening as part of Wasco's early intervention to protect its vulnerable systems against adverse weather conditions.
Our southern intakes, they usually get very clogged. So because of this, what we've decided to do is to close them off early in the evening. So our dedicated staff is going to go out there pretty early, some of them as early as 6 to 7 in the evening, and we're going to start closing off those intakes.
The John Compton Dam and the Hill 20 system servicing the north of the island have been described as less vulnerable. The officer in charge, Wasco, says very little management will be needed to prepare for inclement weather. However, residents in the south are reminded to take heed.
We have areas like Pastias, we have Deriso, we have Miku, which is the Maho system. We have systems in Canaries and Slavedir. All of those systems, including Fosse Jacques number 2 as well, which is in Soufret. All those systems we will have to close off pretty early. So of course we're asking customers to start their storage.
George Leslie also provides a list of numbers to dial in case of a water emergency in the aftermath of the tropical system.
And you could also WhatsApp us on those numbers. So for the south, we have 482.
So Wasco rationing water because their system is the system is outdated. So let's look at Philip J. Pear 6 years ago. 6 years ago, folks, on this water issue. Philip J. Pear, 6 years ago. Let's hear what the now Prime Minister has to say, or what he had to say back then concerning the issues. This is a DBS clip, and I believe it is Clinton. No, just bear with me. We have to go back. It's a live feed that I'm doing here. So when I say live feed, we are live and we doing the production as we...
Infrastructure has always been a challenge for the water and sewage company Wasco. Over last weekend, several leaks were discovered on a 24-inch raw water line at Varna, and on February 18th, 2020, following repairs, the company recommissioned the water distribution system. Since then, the company has suffered another setback. On Wednesday, a break on a 32-inch line at Cul-de-sac impeded efforts to supply consumers in some areas.
Wasco wishes to inform customers in the north of the island that distribution to communities began earlier today. And this is following the repairs which were completed on the 32-inch raw water line around 5 a.m. this morning. The emergency repairs were undertaken from the evening of the 19th, and they worked well into the evening and into the wee hours of the morning, well, this morning. That is after the discovery of the rupture was made yesterday. Technicians and the crew assigned to this effort worked throughout the night to ensure that customers who had already been experiencing delays in accessing the water supply were not prolonged.
Wasco has taken a phased approach to a maintenance system for the raw water line until the entire raw water system is restored. During that period, the company will issue periodic alerts well in advance of upcoming water supply interruptions. The Water and Sewage Company is also organizing a water trucking service to communities affected by acute water shortages. Announcements will be made as to where and when customers can obtain water from the trucks.
We are taking a phased approach to our maintenance regime. Actually, this situation that we have faced has stressed the need for us to strengthen our maintenance system so that we can avoid situations such as what we have experienced over the past few days. But in terms of doing the maintenance works on the system, we want to let the public know that we will be informing people well ahead of the planned outages because, as you can imagine, in order for the repairs to take place or in order to do any sort of work on the line, to improve the service that we offer to the customers, we must shut down the system. So before we do that, we will give customers adequate time in order for them to store enough water.
The supply, which will be trucked to consumers, will be supplied from the Hill 20 treatment plant. For the DBS News World, I am Don Nicholas.
Okay, so that was the wrong clip, of course, but these are some of the issues, and you saw how these pipes are not thick enough, of course, and they're bursting ever so often. So it seems to me that we just have the wrong pipes in the ground. It looks to me like we had the wrong pipes in the ground. All right? So we're coming down the road. I have one on King. I want to play Mr. King very shortly. And also Dr. Kenny Anthony. All right? Everybody getting pulled into this tonight.
If you know what you are producing.
As the Vulnerability Reduction Project, DVRP, continues to support the island's crisis management plan at all levels. Recently, the DVRP collaborated with the Water and Sewage Company, Wasco, in addressing a perennial problem in the water sector.
We've all seen them. Broken pipes, busted main pipes, overflowing drains of fresh water. Precious natural resources wasted. Non-revenue water is water that has been produced and is lost before it reaches the customer. This may be due to illegal connections, misuse of fire hydrant systems, vandalized or bypassed consumption meters, corrupt practices of meter readers, and breaks in Wasco's intake and distribution lines. The non-revenue water situation was causing Wasco to lose more water than it supplies to customers.
As most people would know, that Wasco system is old and aging. You do not know what exactly the demand is. A lot of the non-revenue water figures say we're at 55%. So it's basically saying that you're losing 55% of the water that you're producing. And that's 55, well, it'll be more than 55% of our revenue. If you know what you're producing, which areas the demand are, what's necessary, because some places we send too much water, some places we don't send enough water.
The Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project aims to measurably reduce vulnerability to natural hazards and climate change impacts in St. Lucia. This includes various activities related to institutional strengthening and training, as well as the execution of several civil works projects to retrofit or protect national assets. The DVRP has responded to Wasco's need for an acute reduction in non-revenue water. $1.1 million EC of funding was provided through the World Bank to procure and install special meters that would allow Wasco to better monitor the supply of water in their distribution system.
We have two aspects of the meterization. You have the meterization on the consumer end, the consumption end, and you have the meterization on the distribution end, which includes treatment and abstraction. There's some aspects of the meterization on the treatment and abstraction point where we burn energy in terms of electricity through pumping. And if you abstract water and you consume energy to produce and treat that water, you need to account for that revenue.
With the new thrust towards significant reduction in non-revenue water, Wasco has divided its distribution system into a series of smaller subsystems or district metered areas, for which non-revenue water can be calculated individually. These smaller district meter areas are hydraulically isolated so that the volume of water within each area can be calculated. These new meters serve one other vital role.
So Wasco is saying basically we don't know what is happening at the time with our water system, and they keep repeating that their system is old. They're over pumping water, they're wasting 55% of their water, and who pays for that? Who pays? So this was a total disaster as far as I'm concerned. All right? So we're wrapping up soon, all right? I know some of you got to go, but I'm going to document it still. If you have to go, you can go, but we're documenting this broadcast so that you can view it another time. This is Caribbean American News Media Platform. So we go back 5 years again. 5 years again. This is a clip from HTS. Let's go over to an old clip 5 years ago from HTS News Force. We're just waiting for the ads to roll forward so that we can bring it over to you. Here
Residents in the north can breathe a sigh of relief. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, the supply of potable water from the water and sewage company Wasco will return to normal from Tuesday, 18th February 2020. Marketing and Communications Officer at Wasco, Sherry-Ann Williams, recommends that residents flush out their systems as a precautionary measure.
We want to also let customers know that during these types of repairs, what normally happens before the water system is turned on is that we conduct a flushing exercise so that any debris left on the system during the repair phase can be flushed out. So we want to encourage our customers to conduct a similar exercise at home. When you start to get water, as you begin to get water, just let the pipes run for a bit, just as a safety precaution.
Williams describes the dire state of the rupture to a raw water main line and the feverish attempts to effect repairs and restore water services. However, despite the diligence of work crews, there were setbacks. Nonetheless, Williams affirms Wasco's perseverance paid off.
It's one that we would describe as an emergency situation, and that has left residents in the north of the island without a supply of water for an extended period of time.
So what they're saying that you need to flush your system when they turn on that water. Now that's expensive for you to be running your water, but it's necessary for that. And I believe that some type of rebate should have been given to customers when they have to flush these waters or when there is a disruption and there's a repair. I am sure that Wasco should have had something in place in order to take care of these inconvenienced customers. And the customers will always get in the bitter end of the stick when it comes to Wasco. When it comes to Wasco. So we're going to skip some of our presentation here. I have a few more. We're wrapping up shortly. Where is it? Very interesting. There is one that almost blew me off the chair, but I'm not sure if we're going to get to that one tonight. Caribbean American News Media. Let's go to Mr. John. Mr. John Peter, I believe it is. I believe. Let's go.
Water and Sewage Company Incorporated Wasco ought to get its act together. His comments come after residents and businesses in the island's north were left languishing with no pipe-borne water for several days last week. Even up to Monday, May 9th, some residents were yet to have water running through their pipelines. The civil engineer says that Wasco's water supply issues stem from continuous breaks along its raw water line from the John Compton Dam to the Cicero water treatment plant. He says Wasco's efforts at desilting the dam instead of comprehensively addressing the issue with the raw water line has the public experiencing severe hardships.
Let's assume that the John Compton Dam is described as a storage tank that is by your home. And there are pipes that are leaving your tank and coming to your house. In the same way you have the John Compton Dam, which is storing raw water, and there are pipelines that bring that raw water from the dam to the Cicero water treatment plant, where it is treated and distributed to the north of the island. I think all of us, if there is in fact a break in your line at home, the first thing that you will do is try and repair that line, as against attempting to clean the tank when you have water flowing in your yard. But it seems that that simple logic has escaped Wasco for many years. And therefore we have a situation where we have a raw water line that is now breaking ever so often, and there's that constant activity of trying to repair a line and patch a line and try to get back the water supply into the Cicero water treatment plant. We have spent probably $50 million in what I would describe as an imprudent move on the part of Wasco in trying to desil the dam ahead of fixing the raw water lines. And we are all suffering because of that implausible decision that was made.
The civil engineer says that the National Utilities Regulatory Commission, NERC, ought to be held to some degree of accountability given the languishing state of the distribution system.
I think in this particular case, our NERC, which is our regulatory commission, has to take some blame in that they are the ones who ensured that little amount, well, not a little amount, that amount that has been placed on our bills that was dedicated solely for the desilting of the dam. I want to believe that commission has also a responsibility to play, because they should have seen that the prioritized activity should have been the raw water line.
Peters urges St. Lucians to take the necessary precautions to mitigate against the sudden interruptions in water supply brought on by the continuous struggles facing Wasco.
It will continue to happen because the pipes are aging and corrosion is taking place further with every day that passes by. And until that is seen as an important capital works program of Wasco, we will have the same problem every year, worsened during the dry season, as we are now experiencing. And my only advice is to residents is to increase the water storage that they have at their homes and hopefully have storage capacity that will last them 3-4 days. That's the only hope in the short term.
Peter says he sympathizes with the impacted businesses as the business community is still reeling from COVID-19, and having to truck water comes at an additional cost, placing a terrible load on operational expenses.
I did see the various water trucks trying to keep the hotels going.
So there you have Mr. Peters saying, look, something is wrong with the Nook or whatever it is that I believe is manned or was manned by Alison Jeux. They got to take the blame also. That's what he said. Isn't that true? Yes, man, he said that. All right, so let me see here. Let me just pick out the best of the best here just for you, all right? This one, I know some of you are going to blow a gasket, but this is part of the deal here, all right? You don't blow a fuse. I'm not laughing at you folks. I know some of you normally blow steam. But I can't. I really can't. This is Lisa, Senator Lisa, in the House. Sometime in the last sitting. Having a swipe at the previous administration. They like to say previous administration. All right, so let's listen And I'm going to be cutting so you can hear majority.
And as I make my contribution to this debate on the development of our national water pipelines and systems to finally fix what the United Workers' Party could not do. Mr. Speaker, you're also aware that my portfolio issue. It is a national food security issue. And our Minister for National Security understands this fully well, which is why this government is here to finally fix what the United Workers' Party could not do. Mr. Speaker, sustainable development and climate change is already affecting the availability. Changes and challenges are not dependent on imports, Mr. Strengthening our water systems that sustain our agricultural production. Too often we speak of water infrastructure, so water systems enable modern water irrigation systems, expansion of our greenhouse agriculture, increased crop production, investments in our water pipelines, reservoirs, irrigation. Strengthening this initiative very soon. Thank you, Honourable Member. Will become unstable. Mr. Speaker, the motion before us today. Mr. Speaker, whilst I have explained to you and to this Honourable House how critical access to water is to our national food security, I must also reflect on how we got to this point. Because, Mr. Speaker, when I look at the history of the previous administration coming to the House of Parliament to borrow money for water systems, I must ask myself this simple question. Why are we here to do the same thing?
So, previous administration is the Philip Jipper's administration, all right?
That they once did, Mr. Speaker. We should not be coming to this honourable house today to borrow for resources to repair the same pipelines that money was already borrowed for, Mr. Speaker. And just moments ago, my colleague, the Minister for Wasco, spoke about how 43% of our water does not even reach our homes because it is lost due to leaks, broken pipes, and outdated infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, which government in good conscience can truly claim that it cares about people when such a situation...
So, Kenny Anthony could not claim, because based on what Lisa is saying, he can't claim that he cared because the water system was bad, worse, ridiculous at under their leadership too. And now, this is the savior. This is... Oh, we are the only ones that could fix the problems of Wasco. And when I looked at the former government and all this kind of political gimmick that is being played right now, it is nonsense. If you were proposing a plan to fix this water issue, fine. Or you guys did not work on even the dam up in Roseau. Now you are blaming previous administration. And I believe that this rhetoric should not be. It should not be. It should not be. Our final clip I will play, and I'm going to save the rest, and maybe I will try to post them when I get some time, of course. But listen to this. I want you to listen to this one and tell me if Lisa is really sure of what she just said. Just bear with me. We go over to Jadia Jopé, who was part of the movement at the time.
We have been hearing Wasco needs the money too. It gives you a very good idea as to where exactly Wasco is financially and what needs to be done to ensure that we get this company back on the right footing, that is. In April 2013, Wasco was granted a 66.15% increase, 10.43% of which is to be set aside for the dredging of the John Compton Dam. At the time, the dam, which has a capacity of 2.8 million cubic meters of water, could only contain 1.9 million cubic meters. That in itself spells a problem. The dredging of the dam is estimated to cost over $20 million over a 5-year period. In 2012, when the application for the increase was made, Wasco's debt stood at $96 million. Lucelec accounted for $12 million, and PAYE owed to the Inland Revenue Department was $3.43 million. The Water and Sewage Company was also in the bad books of many customers who would go for months without a drop of water or would have to endure poor quality when Wasco was able to supply them with water. In November 2012, Wasco's employees staged a week-long sick-out, and after the company failed to announce a definite date for payment for retroactive pay, they took to the streets and demanded answers from the authorities. All of this indicated to me that whoever took on the challenge and responsibility to lead Wasco's transformation would have to be very brave, very patient, very skillful, and in my opinion, very close to a magician.
So wait, so this is the Kenny Anthony's administration, of course, saying that they are outlined all the issues, financial issues, water capacity issues. That's their government. And then she says, well, you know, we have a dredging free fee that all solutions, whether you get water or not, you're going to pay for that dredging, of course, over a period of time. And she's saying it's going to take about 20 million, or is that what she said? 20 million or something like that over 5 years to at the time, 5 years. Now Wasco is saying 8 to 10 years. That's under the Alan Chastney administration. It will take 8 to 10 years to get all the stuff out, and it will take much more than the figures that are being given. But she said something interesting, Jade. She said, whoever takes over Wasco got to be a magician. It's like they got to do the impossible. But we have Lisa saying that, speaking as though the problem is a simple problem, and it's only the UWP administration that couldn't get it right, and this administration is going to get it right. But what about the Kenny Anthony administration, who was saying to you that it will take a magician to fix the problem? Whoever comes in got to be some supernatural person. So are we listening to two different Labour Party, or is it the same Labour Party machine? I don't understand what is happening here. One side is casting remarks for the other side of the Labour Party. I don't understand what is happening here. This is a major issue that has been there for years. All these administrations have been throwing resources at the problem, at what appeared to be the problem on the surface. And it sounds to me that in some instance, the wrong pipes were being bought. The wrong pipes, I don't know who was the engineers at the time, the wrong pipes are being placed in the ground. Because if you're putting new pipes and it's busting here and busting there and busting up there, it's either your insulation is wrong, it's either you're putting above ground pipes on the ground that can't take the pressure, and they're bursting every time you open your water supply. So it could be bad engineering or bad advice from engineers or professionals, and a whole mixture of melee in this major problem that we have right now. So instead of just looking for bobble, you should look for faulty engineers in your water system, in your water company. Is that true? Maybe you're employing a fisherman to do a plumber's job. And therefore you get in pipes that look like nets. Because a fisherman is good with a net and with a fishing line, not pipeline. I don't know what in the world we are doing now, but this is no time, my friends, for what I am seeing. Because you will have to beat Kenny Anthony, you'll have to beat this one and beat that one. When Mr. Shastney and his team came in, they came into this. To Jade saying, whoever take over got to be a magician. They couldn't be the magician. Remember they were telling you, well, something happened and we don't know what happened. You remember that period. So they said, you got to be a magician. Who came in, take over that problem? Mr. Shastney. They started working on that problem. They started looking for different solutions to deal with the problem. They weren't looking for a magician. They wasn't looking for some supernatural person. They were looking for real solution to this real problem. And they were not telling solutions, well, you gotta be good to want to do this. Oh, you must be crazy. Huh?
2013, former managing director of the St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority, former director on the executive board of the Organization of American States Committee on...
It's a reality that we must face and we must confront. So the question is, the people of St. Lucia, they still want water. The people of St. Lucia, they want the rates of water to be affordable. The people of St. Lucia, they look to Wasco, Wasco's leadership, Wasco's management, to be able to deliver on that promise and that expectation.
Yes.
So if I sit in the position with my management team and the board, then we have that duty. So we cannot go to the people and say, well, we have no money and preach that song alone. We must say, with no money, but this is what we can do and this is what we're trying to do. But you will have to, as time goes by, you'll have to contribute more by way of rates because it's impossible to continue without looking at the rates.
So you see their solution was to increase the customers who would just not getting water. Increase, that's the solution. Bring more money. But they're saying all the water is going in the ground and we're losing it from our end. But it's their problem, let them pay for it. And here, this is the magician that the SLP on the Kenny Anthony brought in. I'm not trying to...
Well, there are many factors associated with non-revenue water. One is the fact that your infrastructure is bad. So we call that the physical loss.
So everybody, infrastructure is bad.
Some of our pipelines
from since Kenny Anthony's time, infrastructure is bad. From since the other government time, that's all you're hearing. Bad infrastructure, increase the rate, put a levy. That's all you're hearing. That's the problem. That's the solution to the problem. And Jada said, well, you need a musician to fix this. Here's a musician saying, we have bad infrastructure, but we need more money, of course.
Has not been attended to sufficiently and properly over the years because Wasco had no money to do that. So that is one place where you lose all that money, all that water. The second area where a lot of water is lost and unaccounted for is the broad area of commercial losses, and that is people stealing our water.
So one of the other problems the guy said is you can't fall there, Gloa. Somebody stealing the water, that's one of the problems too. Yes, stealing the water, that we got to maybe get security to put at the water pipes to stop. I'm just saying that's one of the problems, of course. People stealing water, Wasco losing water. Blah, blah, blah.
Wasco must also measure up to that. Wasco must behave professionally but strong to deal with a problem like this. Because if you don't, then you will never win. If you believe it's going to go away by you just not addressing it, it will not go away. And you will have it. In fact, it's going to get worse.
So we need a magician to wish the water crisis away.
The social loss, which is, for example, like the fire service, which is a necessary service.
Yes.
And it uses water. Customer base, and they speak to us, and we must communicate with them.
Speaking of Wasco's infrastructure, one of the problems that we have currently is that there are individuals who are complaining that Wasco is saying to them, I'm not able to bring water into your area. There are new developments, government developments, for example, where you have access, infrastructure through roads and so on. But many persons have to depend on connecting a number of pipes, length sometimes as many as 44. And I know that Wasco would have restrictions as to how many they would connect from a main, but we
to the road or bring it somewhere else because
so Wasco
ministry to deal with this have the ability to shut down that.
Yeah, my friend. So this is, and I'm going to save the rest of the clips. We have a whole lot more. We can't do it tonight. I tried to do everything in one night, but we can't. But I want you to have a beautiful night, folks. That's all I'm saying to you, friends, that we have had this water issues, and it has spanned over many administrations, including the Labour Party's administration, including the last administration that is the now administration. And now they're saying, look, we go to borrow the monies and we're going to start putting down some lines. This is a big problem, a big issue. Then they blame it on the drought. We don't get enough water. The storage capacity is not there. And because if you had dredged that thing for the past 4 years, then I'm sure that you would have gotten some type of storage, some type of space at the John Compton Dam to at least get some water in your system from all the rains and everything that have fallen. It's a storage system. That's what the dam is. As far as I'm hearing, it's a storage facility. And if the storage facility is clogged up, and you stop the dredging because you're trying to catch a volley, while you have the problem, you're trying to catch the volley. You think that there's a volley, but you know for a fact that there's a water problem in that dam. And instead you choose to go after the volley that's in your head, but not deal with the problem that is before you. That's all for now. Folks, have a beautiful night. Thank you so much for being here with us at Caribbean American News platform. Go to bed, folks. God bless you.
We have breaking news for our Caribbean American viewers. Stay tuned for the latest updates. This is a developing story. We are gathering all the essential details. We will bring you the most crucial information.
Welcome to Caribbean American News Media. Let's get to work. I'm here to help.
Welcome to Caribbean American News Media, with me, Garfield.